Hey, what's going on, everybody? JB the Ranch Mechanic here, coming at you today with a video about a little modification I made to my Honda Pioneer 1000. This is a 2018 Pioneer, and what I did, well, most of these machines don't come with any kind of side view mirrors or a rear view mirror or anything from the factory that lets you see behind you. And honestly, you really don't need that. If all you're doing is just trail driving, you need to be focused on what's in front of you, and what's behind you really doesn't matter. But in my case, this is my maintenance rig. This is my everyday vehicle. I don't have a pickup truck. I don't have anything else because there's just too many trails that I need to drive down. And then if there's maintenance that I need to do on a pivot, especially a growing pivot with, crops actively growing, a pickup truck will just destroy those crops. A side-by-side is still heavy, but it's a lot lighter weight. So this is my primary vehicle every day. This is 2018. I've got nearly 15,000 miles on this thing. I drive it every day. I drive the heck out of it, and it's been a very reliable machine. But the problem that we have is that most of our property is in a valley with a county road bordering our property. So in order to gain access to a lot of our pivots, we use that county road to drive from pivot to pivot and get us from A to B. And the problem with the terrain out here is, as you can see behind me, there's a lot of mountains and a lot of foothills, and it's not exactly a flat road. So there's a lot of terrain, and the problem with rural roads, even though the speed limit is technically 35 miles an hour, nobody drives 35 miles an hour out here. I mean, we don't get a lot of traffic out here because we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's very remote, but you get people who don't know the area very well, and they think that it's a free-for-all, and it's not uncommon to see people going 60, 70, sometimes even 80 miles an hour or faster down these roads. There's also a lot of twists and turns down here, so you combine that speed with people who are unfamiliar with the area and unfamiliar with the terrain and the hills and everything that obstructs their ability to see down the road. We've had some very severe rollover accidents here. We've had people get ejected from cars. I've had to call Lifeline a couple of times to have people, flown out of here to go to the hospital. Had a lady get ejected from her car a couple summers back and shattered her pelvis. It's been bad. People drive like idiots out here, guys, and it's a big concern, especially when I'm pulling back out of a pivot onto the road and the gate is at the base of a hill. Like right here, for example. People come flying down this road. It gets pretty dangerous. The last thing I want is to have someone flying down the road, come over that hill, not realize I'm there, and then not have enough reaction time to get out of the way, and then all of a sudden I get killed because they're not paying attention and driving too fast for the conditions. So what I've done to sort of remedy that issue, at least on my end, is I have added a set of side view mirrors to my side-by-side. Now, that's not going to do anything to control how other people drive, but what it's going to allow me to do is pull out of the pivot onto the road, off to the side of the road, and then look into the mirror and see that hill behind me to make sure no one's hauling down the road coming over that hill about ready to take me out. So it's just more of a safety thing for me so I can see what's going on. The side mirrors that I bought are made by a company called Kolpin. I got them on Amazon. They're about $45. They are made in China, even though Kolpin is technically an American company. I'm going to get out of the side-by-side here. I'll turn the camera around. I'll show you the mirrors, and I'll explain how they're set up. I'll tell you what I like about them, and then a couple things that I don't care for. All right, guys, so here we go. Here's the outside view with these two Kolpin mirrors mounted. Again, this is a 2018 Pioneer. Just as an aside, it is kind of a breezy day today, so if there's wind noise here, I apologize. I'm using my cell phone, so I don't have a windscreen or anything over my mic. It's just kind of is what it is, so hopefully it doesn't get too noisy. But as you can see, those are the mirrors, and part of the reason that I chose these Kolpin mirrors is due to their kind of angular appearance. They almost look OEM because they really kind of match the real angular body lines of this machine almost dead on. I mean, they look like they're factory. They match the machine so well, actually, that I've had them on for about a week, and I had my boss standing literally right next to this thing talking to me for about 20 minutes yesterday, and he didn't even notice that they were there. So they do look like a factory accessory, which is kind of cool. As you can see with the mirror itself, it's kind of a split design here. So you have your main portion of the mirror, and then you have a split wide angle lens at the top. As for how they mount, it's a pretty slick setup that they've got here. The box comes with a lot of different accessories for mounting these things to a variety of different machines. There's two different size roll bar mounts, and then there's actually some angular brackets that'll mount onto here that will allow you to attach these mirrors to kind of that goofy semi-rectangular roll bar that I think it's Can-Am that uses that. Maybe some Polaris machines, I'm honestly not sure. But a pretty comprehensive system, so you can mount these to pretty much anything with a round roll bar. This is the smaller adapter of the two with a small rubber isolator sleeve that goes around there on the inside. This helps put tension on this, and it also reduces the amount of vibration that gets transferred to the mirror, and it works very well. I've been pretty impressed. But you have 2 hex head bolts with lock nuts that go through the back here, and there is a small hex cutout molded into the plastic on the roll bar mount, so those are captured. So all you have to do is thread the bolts in from the front and just screw them in, and that will hold the nut for you. So that's kind of nice. You don't got to finagle with a wrench or anything like that. Right here, you'll notice that it's basically split. There's 2 different halves here, and how this works is the best thing I can think of is like a cymbal mount. I play the drums. There's those kind of spline deals that engage with each other from both sides. This is your main adjustment for your rotation. So this helps set the angle vertically. So no matter what the angle is on your roll bar, you can loosen this up with a 10mm bolt that goes through here, pull this out, and then rotate it to get the mirror vertical for your particular seating position, however you like to have it set up. This is your basically course adjustment here. You get this basically where you need it, and then there's a ball and socket mount right here. It's also adjustable with another 10mm nut. You can adjust the tension on this, and that will allow you to pivot the mirror and move it around and get the angle and everything set exactly how you want it. You can tilt it this way, you can tilt it that way, you can tilt it back, you can tilt it front. And then the other nice thing about the socket mount is that if you were to accidentally tag something with the mirror as you're driving by, it almost acts like a breakaway feature, so the mirror will just fold in rather than getting ripped clean off your machine. So that's actually pretty nice feature. You don't have to worry about actually damaging the mirror if you hit something on the trail, or if you hit a mailbox or a car or whatever you happen to be doing. Don't damage other people's property, please. But anyway, overall, pretty slick setup with how they have this mounted. A lot of different attachment options and everything. And another thing that I found that was really, really nice is that I have the OEM Honda split windshield on this machine, and having it set up right here, even with this thing all the way closed, it doesn't interfere with the gasket or anything at all on this. So you can have this windshield all the way closed and it fits behind there beautifully without any kind of interference at all. So for the Honda split windshield, not a big deal. And I would imagine it'd be similar for other makes and models of accessories and machines. So, overall, I've been pretty impressed with this setup. The key thing is make sure that you get your ball and socket adjusted properly. Get it set where you want it so you can see, and then tighten that thing down. You don't want to snug it down so much that, you risk cracking the plastic, but it is a plastic ball with a steel insert. The socket part is actually a steel cap in there. So it does grab pretty tightly, but if you don't do that, they're just barely loose enough out of the box that if you don't adjust that and tighten the socket mount down, what'll happen is, vibration and wind will actually cause the mirror to walk in just a little bit on you. So I've got it set now where it's loose enough to where if I need to make an adjustment, I can still do it, but it's also snug enough to where it's not going to walk back on me from wind. So a lot of adjustability built into this setup, so it's pretty cool. Driving down the road, the vibration resistance is actually pretty darn good. I'll roll in some footage here at the end of the video of me going up to a pretty remote location a couple days back to work on one of our wells. And I have to basically drive over this mountain here to get back there. And it's actually much taller in person. The depth of field on the camera does not do justice to the terrain out here. It looks a lot less steep than it actually is. And granted, these are not hardcore off-road trails or anything, but they're, very bumpy, very rocky, very steep. And, looking in the mirror the entire time, everything vibrates just a little bit, but these never got to the point where I could not pretty clearly see what was going on behind me. I mean, even driving pretty fast over some really rough stuff, the vibration dampening that little rubber boot provides and the socket provides is actually really good. So overall, I've been pretty impressed. Now, what don't I like about these things? Well, there's just really 2 things. First and foremost, the American flag on the front. I don't care if Kolpin's an American company or not. These things are made in China. Now, I'm prior service military. I don't believe that a product made in China is deserving of having the American flag put on it. That's something about that just kind of bugs me. I'm pretty patriotic. I have a great deal of respect for our nation's flag. And if something's made over in the PRC, I don't think it deserves to have an American flag slapped on it. I think that's a little bit disingenuous for any company to do, even if they are an American-based company. If you're offshoring stuff, don't stick an American flag on it as though it's made here in the States. That's just a personal thing for me. Second thing is, I know that this little split here kind of goes along with the overall shape and form of these mirrors, but what the heck? I mean, I don't like the fact that the split is up on an angle. It would have been very easy for them to just get rid of this mold line and make this one piece of glass. And I think another company on Amazon, I believe it's Bevel Engineering, they do make a almost identical version of this that is just one piece of glass. They don't have the wide angle thing. I do like having the wide angle portion of the mirror on there. I just wish that it was cut straight. The wide angle does definitely still work. It just, you know, takes a little bit of getting used to get your eyeballs to look in that and kind of expect to have less view over here than you have here. It's a little goofy, but it's fine. What I would like to see them do even more is have the wide angle portion maybe down here, like the bottom 2 or 3 inches of the mirror itself. That way, if you're towing something or whatever, you can look down there and get your wide angle, and then the rest of the mirror up here is actually one piece. Get rid of this diagonal mold line altogether. That's what I would do. I just think that this is kind of an example of someone who's designing something to look cool without putting a whole lot of thought into the actual function of it. So those are the only 2 real things that I don't care for. You know, even though it is made in China, I've been fairly impressed by the build quality on these things. I'm pretty sure that this is actual glass. I don't know. I mean, for the price point, I'm not entirely sure. The Bevel Engineering mirrors are actually about $5 cheaper. I think they're only $40 instead of $45. And they're advertising that they're made with tempered glass. So I'm presuming that for $45, this is actual tempered glass. I'm not going to try to break it to find out. If anything happens to these and they get damaged for whatever reason, or if I start having problems with them, obviously I'll make a follow-up video. But for right now, I'm going to give these things 2 thumbs up. I mean, for the money, you really can't beat them. You get a pair of them. The adjustability is fantastic. The amount of vibration resistance is really good. The clarity of the mirrors themselves is not perfect, but it's very good for the price point. And you get the wide angle deal at the top there, so you can kind of see a little bit more of what's going on behind you. So for me, I'm pretty satisfied with the purchase. These things add a pretty huge margin of safety for me for when I'm pulling out onto the road. It's just a tool to eliminate one of those variables as to what's going on behind me. It's just a safety thing. I survived 8 years of the military and 10 years working in public safety and law enforcement. I don't need to get taken out by some yahoo driving, you know, 80 miles an hour down one of these roads, coming over a hill and smoking my machine because they can't see me. So this is just a tool in the toolbox to help keep me safe. And in that regard, they work great. They look great. They look almost OEM, and I'm pretty happy with them. So for right now, 2 thumbs up. And just keep in mind, guys, this is not a sponsored video. I don't get kickbacks from anybody. This is just my 2 cents based on the little bit of experience I have with these things. Like I said, I've had them on for about a week, and so far I'm pretty impressed and pretty happy with how they've turned out, and they look good. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there regarding these Kolpin mirrors. I will throw a link for them down in the description. I don't have an Amazon affiliate program set up or anything, so this is just going to be a straight link to Amazon, and you can buy them for yourself if you want to get them for your machine. The wind is picking up here a little bit, so sorry about that. So just as an aside, I don't know what's happened since last Friday when I put out my Fast Tip Friday video for the week, but apparently the YouTube algorithm kind of picked that video up and went with it, because it got over 2,000 views the first 12 hours it was up, which is crazy for my channel. As far as YouTube goes, I'm just a peon. I struggle to get 2,000 views on a video in 6 months, let alone 12 hours. That's just insane to me. I've had a YouTube channel for, what, 5 years now. I think it was 2015 or 2016 that I really started doing this, but I haven't done it regularly or consistently or really seriously until the last couple of years. So it's really cool to see the channel grow, and you know, you guys are all a part of that. So from the bottom of my heart, if you're a new subscriber or if you've been with me from the beginning, thank you. Sincerely. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. I'm doing my best to get back to everybody in the comments. It's getting really windy, so I'm going to wrap this up. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great day. Thank you again for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya. That's a tough view to beat.